welcome back to an episode of How to Be a Texan. How you doing, Kevin?
Good, man. Very relaxed.
Very relaxing, very kind of calm and farm-like. What is that noise back there?
Those are my new baby chicks.
Well, congratulations. Oh my gosh. So cute.
They are cute.
They
are cute.
They are.
Kendra brought them home this week from the little farm store up the road.
And how come y'all didn't get 36?
We thought we'd try 12.
All right.
See how that goes.
All right.
Farm store? I think they call it a feed store.
Whatever.
It is technically called D&L Farm and Home.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to D&L.
Shout out to Rex Jr.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor, but a good guy. Rex Sanders Jr. He owns that thing. Great guy. Hey, today we're going to talk about something that's kind of a sexy topic. So you ready to talk about something sexy today, Kevin?
Baby chicks? No, I thought that was pretty sexy.
No, actually, it's just cute. They're just cute. But this one today, we'll talk about sustainability. So when that word comes out, Kevin, and we got Andrew on too, and he's actually he's all mic'd up. How you doing, Andrew? All right. So what do you think about on when somebody says sustainability? What do you think about when you hear that term?
I think about trying to live in a more sustainable way.
Yeah,
that's why the baby chicks kind of ties into it.
Right.
Because we, by doing that, we've had several flocks. You've had flocks of chickens too. You still got some.
Yeah. A flock of seagulls. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But yeah, no.
But just the idea of being able to do more with your own property, not have to rely on having eggs shipped across the country with using diesel fuel. If you can have your own eggs,
right?
It's great.
Oh my gosh, people
growing your own food.
Yeah, and people love your eggs, don't they?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh,
they're so much better.
They are.
They're so much better.
It's
so incredible.
Good. Well, so we thought we'd talk about sustainability today. And so how does that relate to being a Texan? I think it relates to being a citizen of the world, to be honest with you, and not to be overly cheesy. But, sustainability is a very hot topic right now, and I think it's deservedly so. We've got all this climate change going on, and we have, all the carbon footprint talk that we have today, and in Texas, you don't think of Texas being a real sustainable state or area in the U.S. And so Kevin has brought up a study, and we'll talk through that about kind of where Texas ranks. But I will say that it's kind of on the rise. There's a lot of folks like Kevin and I who want to do more. With our little mini ranches, with gardening, with chickens and things of that nature. And then there are people that go way, way further than that, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But then there's a lot of people in the business world that do very, very well with all these sustainable, really career paths. And in that, I think we can circle back on that with all the energy production that's not fossil fuel based, with the products that we build our buildings with just some of the kind of the lifestyle principles of how we try to preserve, energy versus just burning diesel fuel or air conditioning all the time. So, I mean, those are some of the things that I think we'll talk about today. I hope it's interesting, and it is to me. But why don't we get into that study just a little bit?
Well, I think the study is interesting because it ranks Texas so low on the list of the 50 states, right? And this is a study that was done by Duke University, by the way. So it's out there, and we'll put a link to it. And the methodology that they used was they kind of created 3 top-level categories, right? One is environmental quality. And that talks about things such as, water purification systems for the cities and the towns and the communities, air quality, the quality of the water itself, the quality of the soil. If you don't have good quality soil, you can't really grow your own food. Energy efficiency scores overall, just how are buildings constructed to conserve energy? What are they doing with, building of new housing developments and homes and things of that nature? So kind of this first bucket was called environmental quality, and those things feed into that.
Okay.
Second bucket was eco-friendly behaviors, and these are getting more into green buildings and what's actually being done from a planning perspective around that.
Okay.
Looking at the total capacity of solar PV systems that are installed per household, per building, et cetera. How much energy consumption is coming from renewable sources as opposed to non-renewable sources, energy consumption per capita, gasoline consumption, water consumption. So this is kind of the consumption side of the equation.
So before you give us the results of that.
Well, there's a third bucket.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So that's bucket number 2.
Okay, my apologies.
And then bucket number 3 is climate change contribution.
Okay, that's right.
So that's stuff like carbon dioxide emissions per capita, methane emissions per capita, nitrous oxide emissions per capita, and then just greenhouse gas emissions overall. So these 3 buckets were kind of equally weighted.
Okay, so you
for this study.
So the 3 buckets are environmental qualities, eco-friendly behaviors, and climate change contributions.
Mm-hmm.
So of kind of all our mythical topics that we've talked about being the prototypical Texan, is kind of opposite of this, right? In that we think of the cowboy driving a giant diesel truck, with air conditioner on Supermax, and not being typically terribly worried about the climate.
If you apply this kind of model to it, that's how it shakes out,
All
right?
right?
But if you think about it in a broader sense, right, is the cowboy driving the truck with the diesel engine, what is he also doing, right? He's probably got acres and acres of grass.
That's right.
And
So
that grass is converting carbon dioxide into oxygen.
Yeah.
He's raising cattle in a very humane way that's then, could be, grass-fed, sold to local farmers markets, for example, right? So if you kind of think of it, so I think some of these studies, sometimes the methodologies are really focused on, really the technical aspects and the technology and what are we doing to try to become more eco-friendly from a technology perspective.
Right.
But if you kind of step back and think about it, it almost becomes kind of like a balance sheet, so to speak.
That's right.
So I don't know. Those kind of other factors aren't necessarily baked in, to these kinds of studies.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these are done around kind of urban areas and what are the urban areas doing to try to become more sustainable in transportation and recycling and blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. I kind of look at it from a little bit different perspective.
No, I think that balanced scorecard approach is the right way to look at it from a kind of Texan perspective. Now, if you're in urban Houston or urban Dallas or something, it may be different. But when we live kind of a little bit out, in not necessarily rural areas, but suburban areas.
Yeah.
We and certainly farmers that we're talking about, the stereotypes. So anyway, okay. Well,
one more point along this. I found a calculator earlier today when I was looking, and it allowed you to calculate how many tons of CO2 your house produces.
Oh.
And it had a little checklist, and you pretty much check everything because it's like, do you have air conditioning? Do you have a dishwasher? Do you have a washing machine? Do you have a dryer? Do you have a TV? It's just kind of everything. You end up checking almost everything and then calculate.
Right.
And so everybody has that, right? Whether you're living in an apartment in downtown Dallas or you're living out on a couple of acres like we are.
Mm-hmm.
So all the combination of that produces about 13 tons of CO2 per year.
Oh, wow.
Right? So then what are you doing to offset that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, a 2.5 acre property with trees on it produces about, according to that calculator, about 5 tons of oxygen.
Okay.
Right? So you could take the 5 tons off your balance sheet, right?
Okay.
So, but if you're living in an urban environment where you're producing the 13 tons, but maybe you're also in an apartment complex that's also producing 13 tons, sometimes that stuff's not factored into these kind of models because it's more focused on how energy efficient is everything and are you recycling and blah, blah, blah. So just another kind of data point on the balance sheet idea.
No, that's good. All right. Well, so tell us kind of bottom line where Texas ranked on this study.
Well, on this study, Texas ranked number 36 out of 50.
36.
The top state was Vermont. Number 2 was Mass. Number 3 was Oregon and Washington.
Huh.
Oregon and Washington, tons of sustainability initiatives that going out there.
No, that's right.
No.
So what do they do in Vermont? Does everybody live in a tent? And I mean, how do you do that? How do you become number one?
I don't know. It's just when they run all the data through that methodology that I described, they became number one. This doesn't explain exactly how they
see
became
that,
but their lowest ranking on all of those.
Yeah.
Is it because it's a smaller?
Yeah.
Different. I mean, maybe Vermont is a little more rural.
I don't know.
Lifestyle.
It is. I don't know. I've never met one person from Vermont in all my travels. Never met one person. I actually met somebody from Delaware one time, and I was shocked. They were actually from Delaware.
They were the person. That's the person from Delaware.
I had them sign a $1 bill.
Yeah.
And I immediately gave it away.
These methodologies are valid. I'm not rocking the methodology at all. I think they are valid, and it's a very good way to look at it. It makes us think about how we're building buildings and how we're, becoming more efficient with energy.
Well, and it challenges us too, because I think at the end of the day, I don't think we want to leave this earth making it worse than when we came on it. I don't think that's our desire, but I do think, going back to just previous conversations, where we are terribly selfish, and we want a comfortable lifestyle, and we're all getting mushy, and we sit around looking at screens all the time, playing whatever, and it's not, so that's the danger, is like, I want to make a more, I want to contribute to sustainability and create less of a carbon footprint, but I certainly like all the pleasantries of life as it is right now in 2018.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a dilemma, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, because me living in a tent, never seeing a plastic bottle in my life, that's not realistic.
Right.
I love air conditioning. It's awesome. It's 100 degrees here most of the time.
You have to have air conditioning here.
Yeah. It's
and really, hot. I think that's one reason why Texas ranks so low on a lot of these studies, is because of we use a ton of AC.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we just do.
Yeah.
It's on in the house. It's on in the car. It's on everywhere you go. Yeah.
9 months of the year it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a whole lot of energy.
So 36th.
36 out of 50. Yeah. So, people may look at that, and if they're thinking about, what was that, Andrew?
I want to go back to the AC thing, but I had to take off my shoes because my feet were getting sweaty. Speaking of AC.
Did you stick your feet in front of our air conditioner?
I did, yeah.
What that smell is?
Step on a baby chick. It's terrible.
I was amazed whenever we visited up north in the Pacific Northwest, just how little AC.
Oh, yeah. It's not necessary.
Like they just don't, places just are built without AC.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That would be nice.
A lot of places
open a window.
A lot of places in Northern California are like that too.
Yeah.
San Diego, Colorado, a lot of that, where it's just very temperate.
Yeah.
And they're shocked when it gets up to in the high 80s or something, and they're just dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't do that whenever it's hot one day and the next day it's 40 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it has been the past few weeks.
And out there it doesn't get, 110 degrees either, So,
no.
Yeah.
So, okay. So is that the summary of your study?
It is, and then it goes into some of the red state, blue state stuff, and blue states are definitely much more, according to this methodology, much more environmentally friendly than the red states across the board.
Okay, so we're red, and most of the southern states are probably red.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the red is basically the South, the South and some of the Midwest. Yeah, basically, if you think about the election map. The coasts are generally blue, right? And then the top of the Midwest is generally blue. And then pretty much everything else. Colorado's blue now as well.
Right.
But most other states in between are red.
Oh, baby.
But it's primarily the South is where most of the population is.
All right. Well, maybe we can start a revolution.
Well, I think we are.
I hope so. Because I like this whole sustainability concept, and I dig it.
Well, and I think the point I was making before Andrew took his shoes off and smelled up the room was, part of the reason for this podcast is to talk to people who are thinking of moving to Texas or maybe wanting to learn more about Texas, and this can be a deterrent, right? If I'm living, somewhere and I look and I'm like, oh man, I care about the environment. I look at this kind of study, I'm like, I don't want to go live down there. What are we doing, right? So I think the point that we're making is. There's different ways to look at it, and there's different ways to have, Texas is a great place to have a more rural kind of lifestyle, if you choose to kind of go down that path.
No, that's right.
And create a much more sustainable lifestyle, which is what basically our families have both done, right?
That's right.
We've moved out. We got some acreage. We do our own eggs now. And, you grow a good garden. I attempt to grow a good garden generally fail miserably, but
Right.
get a little bit of stuff here and there.
Yeah, but let's get into that in just a second. But I tell you something else even more, very exciting as well, is there are plenty of people, like one of the fellows I used to work for, a real estate developer, very, very proactive about the types of materials that he wanted to build with, because he wanted to build more sustainable buildings, and be very cognizant of the energy consumption, the types of materials that he used to build, the types of lighting that was going to go in so that it required less energy, the insulation, the solar energy that could be generated out of that. Mm-hmm. And I just think there are more and more people that are thinking along those terms right now. As I was just looking through some websites on this, the University of Texas in Austin and Texas A&M University here in Texas are very, very active around sustainability offices, training programs for students, and then each of the major cities has a sustainability office where they highlight some of the initiatives that they're trying to go off on.
Well, in Texas A&M, I know, and I would imagine that UT does this as well, but Texas A&M does like deep research on this. One of the articles I was reading today talked about these 3 female scientists that are actually based in Dallas. They work for Texas A&M, and they're doing research specifically around sustainability.
Oh.
And it's not even the kind of research I expected as I started reading through it. It was stuff like, genetic research on grasses and how to turn on certain genes to make the grass even use water more efficiently, so that as we lay out a landscape, it's literally creating a more efficient plant system. It's at that level of detail that some of the research is going on. It's really kind of cool.
There's got to be stuff like that where, think about it. If you can create a plant with more surface area that generates more photosynthesis, that it basically eats more CO2 and generates more oxygen, it's all basic physics.
Mm-hmm. Physics, biology.
Something like that, right? So, I don't know. But I'm excited about it. So,
well, the building thing too is important, right? And I think now, anytime a building is kind of spec'd or laid out, they're by default. I think unless they're just completely head in the sand. But I think most people are approaching it from building more sustainable buildings and campuses, and even hospitals and
that's right,
shopping centers and everything is kind of gravitating towards this idea.
The problem that I saw in that when we were doing these projects is, even though there is a 50 or 100 year return on it, the dilemma is you've got a 5-year return from an investment portfolio that you've got to do, and so are you willing to invest a premium in longer term beneficial products and lighting and higher cost things, because you've got to have a return that's relatively
the biggest
quick.
issue. And that's the same issue even if you take it down to and the numbers may have changed, but I know years ago when the electric cars first, or the hybrid cars, started coming out, I ran the numbers on, because the cost of those things at the time were so much more expensive than a gas car.
Yeah.
I literally ran the numbers and I said, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
The amount of gas that it's going to save is not going to pay. And those numbers may be different now. I haven't looked at it in a few years.
Right.
But it's the same idea. It's kind of like we got to have the technology that becomes cost efficient enough to where then it becomes interesting from an ROI perspective, in addition to
and how do you
because you got to make business decisions in addition to
I know. And how do you
what's good for the world, right? That's the balance.
That is a balance, and you've got to have people that will invest in that, even though they know there's a long-term ROI on it, and they're going to basically have a monopoly on certain products, but they've got to have a long 20-year view for that, like Tesla or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you look at the battery-powered cars and the battery-powered everything over the fossil fuels. That was a bet a long time ago, and it's coming to fruition on that, and then a lot of other technologies.
Yeah.
So, but getting back to just kind of the farm living, and granted, Kevin and I are not farmers. A true farmer, somebody that's got acres and acres, and they're planting vegetables and things of that nature. But what we do is we have these suburban, almost rural, small acreage places. And and I consider myself kind of in the middle on the continuum. I think you're a little bit further over on one side where, you're doing some things, I'm doing maybe a little bit more, but there are people that are way over on the other
way out
side
there
that I kind of call the militia people almost, where they've got the compound kind of off the grid, and we're nowhere near that. Now, think about it 100 years ago, though. If people back in the Depression, my grandmother, for example, my grandparents lived through the Depression up in south central Oklahoma, and they lived off the land. And they would dig a well. They would have animals that they would get, dairy products or eggs or cheese or whatever out of, as well as meat. And then they would have, these phenomenal gardens, and they would have giant patches of where they truly farmed. And then pecan trees and whatever else. I mean, they would generate whatever they needed to. Just off the land. They'd go catch fish, they'd hunt, they'd do whatever. And that's how they survived. And then they'd figure out how to pickle it or dry it or whatever.
I was going to say, yeah, they would store it, right? And you would eat what was you knew what was in season based on where you lived, and your diet was based on that, which is a much more healthy way of
and there was no
eating.
Yeah. So I think you'd salt your pork or whatever. I have no idea how to do any of that, but there was natural ways to preserve your food so that you could keep it over the winter or over the summer and it wouldn't spoil, which is pretty phenomenal.
Canning, freezing, pickling.
Yeah,
one of the favorite things I used to eat at my Granny Holder, they always had tons of peaches every year.
Yeah.
And she would slice them all up, put sugar on them, put them in a bag, and freeze them.
Right.
And so her freezer was always jam-packed full of these frozen peaches. And so one of the favorite things to eat was literally eat them while they're frozen. It was incredibly hot. They had the world's worst air conditioner. It was just like these water cooler AC, and we would just sit there and eat those frozen peaches, and they were phenomenal, man.
Phenomenal.
One of my favorite childhood memories, eating those frozen peaches.
Oh, my gosh. That makes me
all the time.
Just think about it.
Yeah.
So I think I'm kind of in the middle of that right now. I don't think Amy and I are at anywhere near where we're able to just kind of slip off the grid by any means.
No way.
We love all of our pleasantries of air conditioning and, all that. But, we've got some things, and I like that. I like my garden. I like my bees. I like our chickens. I like all that.
Well, even the horses, people don't think about horses as helping with that, but they really do, right? Because those horses keep this property, pretty much pristine.
Right.
I have to take care of the front area that's not fenced, but they keep it pristine without requiring any gasoline to go mow that or do anything with it.
Oh, no.
They keep that and then they fertilize it.
Oh, yes.
One of the biggest freakouts I had when I moved in here was, we just kind of jumped in. Sometimes I do that, just kind of jump in head first on things. But
no, I've never seen that before.
Never seen me do that, huh? Yeah.
No.
Anyway, I started researching, how do I maintain this little property here with these horses, and I looked up and I found out that a horse produces 30 pounds of manure every day.
Oh, yeah. At least. At least.
On average. I was like, 30 pounds of manure, and then I got 2.
Yeah.
So I got 60 pounds of manure raining down on my little 2-acre property every day. How am I going to... I was freaking out. I was freaking out.
Yeah.
But then I learned it actually kind of composts real easy, and you just kind of drag it, and it kind of fertilizes, and everything's kind of cool.
Oh, no, it's very cool.
But if you think about the little ecosystem that you got, like at your place, you got the horses taking care of stuff, you got the donkeys, you got the chickens are taking care of weeds and eating bugs and giving you eggs.
That's
and
right.
Then you got your bees that are kind of pollinating everything and giving you honey, and it's kind of this cool little...
It is.
And then you got your own water treatment system, a.k.a. the septic system that you got. So that recycles all your personal waste into your own little
that's right. And then
garden area. So I stopped eating your vegetables a while back. I started thinking about it.
And if you want to take it a step further, you could do solar power.
Well, I do think about that.
Yeah.
I like all those ideas about how to create through wind energy or sun energy or geothermal or whatever. I mean, I love all that, but again, it's the investment of like, okay, I'm going to pay
That's
X
where
dollars.
it starts to hit the wall.
I'm going to pay this many dollars to my power company for power, or I'm going to pay thousands of dollars to put X number of solar panels, which can be an eyesore on a very small place like I have.
So Elon Musk, who seems to be sort of the king of this kind of stuff, just talking about like energy and whatnot.
Yes.
He has been developing, I'm not sure if they're available or not, but he has like, what he does a lot of times is he like comes up with these ideas and he's like, hey, like somebody take this and create it. Mm-hmm. And one of those things is these solar panels that they are stronger than regular shingles and they just look like regular roofing shingles.
Oh, wow.
Is that it?
Oh, yeah. Kevin's showing me a picture of it right now.
It's called the Tesla Solar Roof.
So is it available?
I don't know. I don't think it's quite available.
I was trying
yet,
to pull it up, but my
the prototypes look, like there's one that looks, if you watch the things roll by, there's kind of your traditional shingles. And then there's one that looks like the ceramic style.
Oh, yeah.
That's more of a modern look.
So, see, I think all this...
That one. See, that's solar panels.
Well, that's actually really pretty.
Yeah.
It just looks like a normal roof.
It's like a normal roof.
Oh, yeah, it's Tesla.com.
I think all this stuff...
So once that becomes, like, cost-effective...
Then everybody will have them.
Then you'll have it.
And I tell you what,
they're only available for reservation right now.
For you remember our Mexico episode?
Mm-hmm.
I listened to this guy who does a twice a week podcast. He's the expat living south of the border.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's phenomenal. Anyway, he talks about how to live south of the border. He's in, I believe, Venezuela. About really kind of off the grid, where it's solar and you're off the power grid because the power grid is so unstable that you really need that as a sustainable way. So I think all this is coming where it really will be affordable. And there's no real decision to be made about, wow, I've got to spend X thousands of dollars on all these solar panels to get to that. So I think it's a matter of time where we're going to have all kinds of options, whether it's through wind, geothermal, solar, or other means that we hadn't even thought about yet.
Have you driven out west recently and seen all the windmills that are out there?
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
They freak me out.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of vertigo. One time, Amy and I were going from Los Angeles to Palm Springs. Have you ever made that drive through that valley?
No.
It's like this massive wind farm through there for miles and miles and miles. And I remember driving, and she was, I don't know, looking at a magazine or something while we were driving to this resort thing. We were going for a long weekend. And I almost puked while I was driving because they were all going this way, and one of them out of thousands was going the other way. And my feng shui was off. I was gone. I just was about to just vomit all over her.
So that was in California.
That was in California.
No, I was talking about here.
Oh no, they're
like
everywhere
west of
here.
Fort Worth here.
Oh, going out to Abilene, they're everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
They're
blows
everywhere.
my mind.
Yeah, there's thousands of them now.
Yeah,
I don't know what they
crazy.
do. I
don't
guess
know
they
either.
harness the wind and channel energy.
It's supplying electricity to somewhere, somehow.
Somebody's farmhouse. I have no idea.
I don't know, but they're huge.
They're
There's
massive.
miles of them.
Yeah, and if you see them driving along the freeway, because you'll see the blade, and it's so long that it takes this massive double semi to get them on the freeway. I don't know if you've ever seen that or not.
No.
It's pretty phenomenal.
No, that sounds cool, though.
It is cool. And you see a whole convoy of them going somewhere.
You know, they're putting sensors on that. I can't remember if we've talked about Internet of Things on one of these episodes or not, but you know what the Internet of Things is? It's basically all these devices now, like your refrigerator, your washing machine, and in the industrial side, it's on bulbs. Or light bulbs or whatever. But in the industrial world, they're putting sensors on things like jet engines and and in the industrial world, it's to monitor these things constantly, and you're getting a constant feed of data, and you can look for anomalies, and you can identify. So they've got these things on windmills now, where they can identify using algorithms to understand when they have failed in the past, what were the preconditions that led up to it, so they can identify when those are happening, and then go in and fix it before the thing fails. Because if it fails, it's super expensive, as you just described, bringing something out to fix that.
Oh, wow.
So those things are pretty sophisticated from a technology perspective.
Is that-
Literally real-time data feeds coming in and analytics going on in the background to try to monitor those things and make sure that they stay
This
on.
kind of reminds me of, the Terminator theme, where the grid takes over and stuff. Anyway.
But then if you think about all the energy required to suck that data into a data center, probably an Amazon Web Services cloud somewhere, and then do all the analytics on it, are they really offsetting what they're, who knows? Right.
Goes back to blockchain. I don't know. But back to just my simple little place. I do take pride in trying to learn and grow. So Andrew, as you challenged us on trying to kind of take it to the next step, I think we burn stuff, we recycle stuff, we compost. Well, actually, Kathy and Patrick compost. I don't compost, but they grew that like a pumpkin plant out of there last year.
Yeah,
Something
I heard
crazy.
about that. I heard the legend of the pumpkin plant.
And then hey, I just got two fruit trees yesterday.
Oh, really? What'd you get?
I got a grafted lime and a grafted lemon.
Well, that's
and you
cool.
had to buy grafted so that they could handle harsher conditions.
Yeah.
Because if you just got the regular Mexican lime or whatever tree it was, it couldn't handle down.
Now, how long will it be before they start giving you fruit?
It could possibly be this year. They're
Really?
little bitty. They're about 1.5 feet tall.
But they'll already give
Yeah.
you fruit that small.
Yeah.
I didn't.
No,
I thought
they're-
they had to be
no,
mature
they're-
and all that.
No, they're kind of like pygmy bushes.
Huh.
So I actually put them in the center of my garden just for fun.
Well, that's cool.
So margaritas at your place then, right?
Well, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I kind of kick myself sometimes for cutting down those peach trees and pear trees that I had.
I'm not going to say I told you
Yeah,
so.
you told me so.
I'm never going to say that.
Yeah, you
The other
told me.
thing
Did those produce fruit?
Oh yeah,
oh,
tons.
they were fruit,
Oh,
Tons.
I didn't know
fruit
that.
producing suckers.
But when we opened up the front, when we fenced off that front area for the horses, originally that wasn't fenced off.
Right.
Then we added that. That's when I took those out because the horses would be eating, all
But-
that stuff and probably colicking all day.
I would never tell you not to do something. But anyway,
No, you did.
but there are a couple of other things that I think kind of sustainability things that we can do here, and a lot of that is kind of the water catchment through the rainwater preservation. I think there's some I just lost it.
Using the rainwater system to water the garden would be a killer way to do it.
Well, there's tons of people that do that.
Yeah.
And you can collect it in these vats and you get it off the roof and funnel it into just big barrels and then you water off that.
You ought to do that. You totally ought to do that.
I think it's one of my next projects. I can build it out of pallets. And then I wish my family liked fish more because I love the concept of hydroponics or aquaponics. And there's a lot of people out here that do that, where they have the giant vats of the tilapia fish and they're feeding, and then you have the plants, your garden-based plants on top of the water, and it's fueling the fish, and then they're in turn fertilizing the plants above.
That's cool.
Oh, it's
That's
awesome.
cool.
I love that stuff.
Have you seen the microgreens?
No.
The micro gardens?
No.
Oh, yeah. You can grow. There's people that will grow little tiny. They're literally micro greens, like little sprouts and all kinds of stuff, but they're kind of bred to be very nutritionally dense and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And super healthy for you.
Well,
So that's another kind of one of these up and coming hip kind of gardening techniques.
Well, yeah. Speaking of the hip, going back to the millennial man buns who don't have any money or any place to do this, there was another article that I read about this, and it was talking about how basically with no space and no money, you're basically going and you get a salad and you're keeping all the seeds out of the stuff and you're growing it there in your own apartment or whatever in a very, very urban setting.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what you can grow.
I've seen some folks that take those old shipping containers.
Oh, yeah.
Like those big containers that were up on that hill that we used to ride our bikes around.
Yeah.
They'll take one of those big things and convert it into like a garden area.
Oh, that would be cool.
Inside and out. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And then the whole tiny house thing. You've seen the tiny house?
I like that.
That's kind of a sustainability thing too, right?
Yeah.
Just
I've
kind of-
got a friend that's moving into her van.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Down
Yeah.
by the river?
Yeah.
That van's name's Gerald.
Gerald.
It is
What
Gerald.
a great name. That's great.
It's a great name for a van.
Oh, my God.
She's building that thing out. It's gonna be cool.
It's a big, juicy van.
Oh, my.
Not for sale, though.
Well,
But the real reason why we need to get into all this is I was watching Steve Martin this week. I was watching an old clip from Steve Martin this week.
Which movie? The Jerk?
It wasn't a movie. It was one of his stand-up routines.
Oh, no.
And he was like, you ever wonder where all the farts go?
I never wonder that.
He said they go up to an area called the fart zone.
What?
He said the fart zone is right above the ozone layer, which is why it's so important for us to protect the ozone layer.
Oh, my gosh.
Otherwise, all the farts will fall back down. Not necessarily on the person that created them. So that's what this whole sustainability thing's all about. Kyle.
Okay.
It's protecting us from the fart zone layer.
Protecting the ozone layer?
The fart zone layer.
It's so bad. Well, I am intrigued by this, and I told Andrew that if I was a young man that I would be a sustainability expert, because that's what everybody wants to go for right now. It's the cool, sexy things and
Not
all
too late,
the.
man. You can do it.
No, I'm telling you,
Do it. You can do it.
There's
It's not too late for you, Kyle.
a ton of careers to be made.
Grow a man bun and you'll be the next Elon Musk.
My platinum man bun.
Yes, platinum man.
Yeah, I
It's
don't.
wisdom.
I don't think so.
People will respect you.
All right. Well, hey, Kevin, I appreciate it. And Andrew, thanks a lot for visiting with me about sustainability. I think there's a lot here, and so, and I think we've got a long journey ahead of us. But when we look at kind of our forefathers, they lived off the land, and I don't think we're not above doing that as well.
I agree.
We can do it.
Yep.
So,
Good stuff.
all right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Look us up on iTunes, Spreaker, Google Play. Leave us a review. Adios.
Adios. That is not annoying at all, everybody. Hey, we got baby chicks on.
Cut. What? Just do your regular intro. Hey, we got Baby Chicks as a guest host today.
What do you think, baby chicken? What do you think about sustainability, you cute little chicken?
Just do your regular intro,
Yeah.
and then we'll get into all this crap. But that's not annoying. Welcome back. All right, we rolling yet?
Yeah.
Are we still rolling?
Yeah.
Oh.